Hi grades 3, this is Miss David. So today we will be working on exercise 41 at the end of this video. And I am looking at your textbook, page 87. Okay, today we will be learning about seconds and how do we measure seconds. Okay, how do we subtract seconds from minutes? That's our lesson for today. Again, at the end of this video, you will be working on exercise 41 and I am looking at your textbook page 87. Okay? Now, if we remember from our previous lessons, we learned about minutes, we learned about hours, right? And we learned that in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. And in 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. Okay, so that's what we learned in our previous lessons, that 1 hour is made up of 60 minutes. And we looked at our clocks and we counted our hours and our minutes. So that's what we learned. Today we are focusing on just the seconds, okay? Because time is made up of hours, minutes, and seconds. Do you hear the ticking of the clock? Tick, tick. That is seconds going by, okay? So on our clocks, whether it's a digital clock, whether it's the clock that is hanging on your walls, all of those, each clock has seconds, minutes, and hours, right? So our 1 minute, we measure time that is less than a minute. If we need to measure time which is less than a minute, we would call those seconds, okay? So we use seconds to measure time that is less than a minute, okay? And there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, okay? So now we look at, in this lesson, when we look at seconds, you will be looking at, in your exercise, you'll be looking at how do we subtract seconds from minutes. Okay, so time can be written with seconds, and it can be written in minutes, and it can be written in hours. For example, if I were to write, and we use a colon, it's called colon, these two dots, it's called colon when we have to show that we are talking about our seconds. For example, if I were to write 2 hours, and see, I'm gonna write colon, which means now I am moving to my minutes. 2 hours, 30 minutes, and let's say we will write 45 seconds. Okay, so I just wrote my time in hours. Then I use a colon, so these two dots, it's called a colon, and I wrote my minutes. So I have 30 minutes, 2 hours, 30 minutes. Then I use another colon, and that tells me my seconds. Okay, does that make sense? Now, let us open our textbook to page 87. If you look at your textbook on page 87, it is asking you to do various activities, right? It's asking you, so I'm looking at this page, okay, page 87, okay, and it says other units of time. The second is another unit of time, right? And this is showing us right now on this clock, I only see my hour, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes. However, this clock is showing me the tiny hand or the skinny hand on the clock. That is my second hand, okay, my seconds hand. So I have my hour hand, which is the short hand. I have my minute hand, which is the long hand. And then I have my very skinny hand, which is the seconds hand, okay? So this clock is showing me 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 10 seconds. Because look, my skinny hand is on 2. And if you remember, 2 does not mean just 2. We are going to say our 5 times table. So if my skinny hand or any of these hands is on 2, that is going to be 10, depending on if it's a minute hand or if it's a seconds hand, it will be 10, right? So I have 3 hours because my shorthand is on 3, 20 minutes because my minutes hand, which is the long one, is on 4, and 10 seconds because my skinny hand is on 2. Okay, then I move to down here. This one is showing 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 50 seconds because look at my skinny hand. That's on 10. So it's 50 seconds, okay? So 1 minute, and when do we get 60 seconds? Right when our skinny hand is on 12, okay? So I have 3 hours, 21 minutes, so I have and 60 seconds, okay? Does that make sense? So right when my skinny hand is on 12, I have 60 seconds, okay? Because when my skinny hand moves all the way from 12 to 12, that's a minute, okay? Does that make sense? So, sorry, 60 seconds. Now, let us look at, I'm looking at 1A. Find out how many times you can skip in 10 seconds. So here's your opportunity. You can pause my video and you're going to ask your mom or dad, or you're going to look at the clock that's hanging on the wall, and you are going to pay attention to the skinny hand as it moves or it ticks 10 times. That would be 10 seconds, okay? And you're going to see how many times can you jump. If you don't have a skipping rope, that's fine. You can just do jumping, okay? So how many jumps can you do in 10 seconds? You can pause the video and find that out. Then let's look at the second one. How long do you take to write the word children? So you can quickly write the word children, which is spelled C-H-I-L-D-R-E-N. And you can see how many seconds do you take to write the word children. That would be fun to find out. And then last one, how long do you take to run 100 meter? Well, we can skip this one and we can again do either sit-ups, you can do jumping jacks, okay? So you can see how long does it take for you to do, maybe if you can do, I don't think we can do 100 jumping jacks, but if you can do, you can find out how many minutes or how many seconds you took, okay? So you're gonna do this fun page, and then let us look at some examples of how do we subtract our minutes and our seconds, okay? So let's say I have 1 minute and I need to take away 55 seconds. Now, if you remember, I just told you that 1 minute is made up of how many seconds? 60 seconds, that's right. So that means that if I'm subtracting 60 and 55. So I can either do this, I have 60, I can take away 55, right? And I know that if this is 55, how many do I need to make it into 60? Only 5, right? So that means the answer should be 5. However, let's say I forget how to do that, so I can quickly write my numbers down, stack my numbers, so 60 and 55, and I can subtract. It's a 0 here, so obviously I cannot subtract. I need to borrow from 6, so this becomes a 10, and then I have a 5 here, and I had a 5 left here, so 5 take away 5, I'm left with nothing. So that means if you have 1 minute and you take away 55 seconds, you are left with 5 seconds, right? Then I have 1 minute and take away 5 seconds. We just did that. So instead of now taking away 55 seconds, I only need to take away 5 seconds. And I know that because I just did that, all I need to do is, I can either do it again 2 ways. I can either ask myself, how many numbers, or what do I need to make it into 60? So that would be 55 seconds, right? However, if let's say I forget how to do that, so I can quickly stack my numbers. right? So, oh, sorry, I'm supposed to take away 5. Okay, so I cannot do this. I have 0, I cannot take away 5. So I'm gonna borrow, here I have 5 left. 10, take away 5, I am left with 5. And I don't have to take anything away here, so I just write down 55. So if I have 1 minute, which is 60 seconds, and I take away 5 seconds, I am left with 55 seconds. Okay. Now here I have 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes. Now I need to remember that 1 minute is made up of 60 seconds. So which means I have 60, 60, and 60. Because I have 3 minutes, 1 minute is made up of, each minute is made up of 60 seconds. So I have 3 60s, right? So 1 minute, 2 minute, and 3 minute. And I need to take away 42 seconds, right? Which means that I don't need to use up these 2 of my 60s, right? I don't need to use up this. I can only use 1 of my 60s and I can take away 42, right? That's much easier for me rather than me looking at all 3 60s. I'd be like, how do I do this, right? So I know that 3 minutes is made up of 3 60s. So I'm only going to use 1 of my 60s. I'm going to borrow 1 of my 60s. And I'm going to take away 42, which means I'm here in my answer, I would have these 2 60s left. And these 2 60s mean 2 minutes because 1 minute and 1 minute. So it is 2 minutes. So I know my answer will be 2 minutes, right? And now I need to go and take away 42 out of my 60 seconds. So I should be left with, I'm going to borrow, I have 8 here, and I was left with 5 here, so I will have 18, right? So that means sorry, I didn't realize that you can't see. Okay, so that means I am left with 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Okay, so grade 3, that's the best trick I can show you is always break up your minutes or break up your hours or break up whatever you're given. Okay, break it up and then you can use one of the pieces to subtract. Does that make sense? I broke my 3 minutes into 3 pieces and I used 1 piece to subtract my 42. Does that make sense? So we are going to end our lesson here. And on this note, oh, just one final thing. When you move to exercise 41 in your textbook, or sorry, in your workbook, grades 3, you don't need to do, so what they've asked you is, they've asked you to write the words sing along or sing a song or walk 10 paces or draw. In your last one, where it says run 100 meter, you can do 20 jumping jacks, okay? So where it says, so I'm looking at page 119, exercise 41, where it says run 100 meter. Well, it might be a bit difficult for you to do that. So you can do 20 jumping jacks, okay? So do 20 jumping jacks and count how many seconds does it take you to do 20 jumping jacks, okay? On that note, we are going to end our lesson here and I will see you next time in our exercise 42, okay? Until then, have a very good day. Bye.